this is buy your products. So just in terms of what we're going to touch on in the remaining amount of time that we've got. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my own career into the world of market research, what a day in the life of a market researcher looks like, how I got into market research, and then we'll finish with any sort of final thoughts or questions. But like I said, feel free to kind of ask throughout if there's any sort of burning questions that you can't wait to ask until the end. So this is me, age 17 to now. I don't have a picture of me age 17, so you'll just have to imagine what I looked like. And I've just got a question for the adults here. So I want to know, so when I say adults, I mean everyone above the age of 18. What would your 15 or 16-year-old self had said if they'd been asked, what do you want to do when you grow up? What do you want to be? If you could put that in the chat. And also if you could write whether you're actually in that job or if you're in that specific career that you thought you were going to be in. So if you could just do that, please. And everyone who is under the age of 18, if you could write whether or not you know what you want to do, or if you've got any idea in terms of what you think you'll be when you're older. Okay, so we've got somebody who wanted to be a dentist and working in PR. Okay, so we might have a very similar story here. Somebody who wanted to be a doctor and a psychologist, and that is what they're doing. Somebody who wanted to be an astronaut. Are you an astronaut now?
No, I realised that you needed like 20/20 vision and amazing grades, which yeah, no, I think everyone was just going to this space back then. So okay. Yeah, I wanted to be an astronaut.
Okay, no, but that's brilliant. That's brilliant to know. Somebody else, thank you. Somebody else wanted to be a teacher, business marketing. Corsa said you wanted to be a footballer. Are you a footballer? Radio silence, so I'm gonna guess not, but thank you. Thank you for that. Okay, oh, under 18. Okay, but you want to be a footballer. Okay, brilliant. So I suppose the point I want to make here is that my journey into the world of market research wasn't linear or straightforward, you know. It's what I would call, and I've kind of referred to here, as squiggly. So rather than it being what you kind of see on the left-hand side, where you know where you're going, and then you kind of reach the top and you've achieved what you wanted to achieve, and you are in the role that you thought you were going to be. Mine was more like what it is on the right-hand side. So I didn't know what market research was. I didn't even know that there was such a career called market research that I could do. I'd heard of things like marketing, I'd heard of research, but consumer research, market research, insight, no idea. So it just took some figuring out at different points in my life, and it meant having to ask myself, okay, what do I enjoy, and focusing on really pursuing that. And here on this slide you can see the squiggly side is colourful on this page, and that's deliberate because hopefully this demonstrates by the end of this presentation it can be really rewarding to actually follow your passion. It's okay to not always know what you want to do and what you want to be. And again, you kind of sort of, you know, pick up skills on the way which are actually really transferable. And that leads me on nicely to this. So way back when I was 17, I just thought I want to be really rich. So this is my motivation, this is my goal, this is my ambition. I just want to have loads and loads of money. So I thought I'm just going to be a dentist because I feel like they might have loads of money, and that's just what I'm going to do. And you know, forget the fact that I fainted during work experience in a dental surgery, so obviously not great at the sight of blood. And then I chose my A-levels. I was great at sociology, I was great at biology, but I absolutely was awful at chemistry. I wasn't really passionate about it. I didn't really care about it. My dad had a computer science and chemistry degree and tried to explain it to me, and I just didn't get it. So it was a little bit hopeless, to be honest. But I was so determined to be a dentist that I actually ended up resitting a year of sixth form, because I thought I'm going to resit it, start all over again, and then when it comes to going to university, I'll do a foundation science degree, hopefully do well in that, and then I'll apply for dentistry. So that was kind of what I was thinking. But eventually when it came to it, applying through UCAS, I completely sacked off wanting to be a dentist or doing anything in science. And I actually ended up applying for sociology. And the reason being was that my sociology teacher in sixth form, when I was doing my A-levels, encouraged me to follow my passion and do what I enjoyed. So I never really, although I did work hard, I never really had to work hard at sociology during my A-levels because I loved it. I really enjoyed it. I was passionate about it. I cared about the subject. And he said to me, Sunam, just apply for a BA in sociology at university. And my response was this. So I said, sir, what am I going to do with sociology? What am I going to be? I said, gonna, because I'm Northern, but I've written going on the slide. What am I going to be? And he said, you'll be happy. And I will never forget those words that were spoken to me by this teacher, because he was right. And I applied to do sociology for my undergraduate degree, and I decided to take a risk. And I felt it was risky because it didn't lead into what I thought was a specific job or a specific career. So this is a picture of me graduating from Newcastle University. So it definitely happened. You know, I applied and I loved it. You know, it was fascinating, and I covered really interesting modules. So we did things like sociology of childhood and how that concept changes over time, sociology of evil and sort of history, and race and ethnicity, and just so many things that I was, you know, really interested in, just sort of learning about the world. And I also did lots of modules on research methodologies, and I learned lots of skills as you know, part and parcel of this. So things like working as part of a team, being able to kind of break down really complex problems, analyzing data, whether that was text or numerical, and then just making lots of evidence-based decisions as well. And then when I finished, again, I freaked out because I thought, oh my gosh, all my friends are going into jobs and it's the recession, and what am I going to do? So, you know, massive panic. So I ended up doing a master's in human resource management. And I even did a professional qualification called the Chartered Institute of Personnel and Development Qualification, because it's for those people who want to go into, you know, human resource management as a career. So again, I was, you know, sort of really concerned that if I don't do it, it's not going to make me employable. But I very quickly realized that I loved research methodologies that I'd learned about, and I still managed to do a lot of that for my master's. So I did my dissertation, again, lots of research methodologies included within that, but I just didn't want to listen to people's problems. So I didn't want to have to talk about trade unions or, you know, disputes or tribunals and things like that. But I just thought I really loved to listen to other people's opinions and ideas and their perceptions on the world. So I just need to really rethink in terms of what I want to do. And in the end, so after I completed my master's, I was just randomly on a bus in Leeds going into town, and I saw a sign outside a building which said face facts research, and I thought, I've studied different methodologies, so why don't I just see if I can volunteer and, you know, maybe intern? I know it's just something to put on my CV. And they said yes. And I turned up, and on Monday, the owner was standing outside and the entire building had been burnt down to the ground. And some might say you could take it as a sign, but I was determined not to take this as a sign. And she said, everyone back to mine will work. And I said, you know, stranger danger is a real thing. So if you go find another replacement office, then I'll come back when you're ready. So I ended up going and, you know, just got involved. And this research company, Face Facts Research, was basically a company where they collect research. So we worked on a project, for example, where we got lots of people to come into a big hall, and they had to taste 2 different types of ice cream and give it a score for thickness, smoothness, flavour, and so on. And it's really interesting and very delicious project to work on, because obviously you get all the freebies at the end of it. But for me, I just thought, oh, I love collecting the research, but I want to make sense of it. You know, where does it go? And then what do they do with this information? I don't want to just be collecting it. I want to understand what impact it has on businesses. So then I ended up working with Platypus Research, who are actually Face Facts clients, and they are a specialist kids and youth agency. So I worked with lots of really interesting kids brands, so companies like Disney and Nickelodeon. I worked on projects where companies wanted us to test adverts or apps and get lots of feedback from different customers. So for example, for one of them, I got loads of children with their parents' permission to download an app, trial it for a week. Then I went into their homes, kind of watched them use the app, interviewed parents and children separately to get an idea of what they thought about it. And also it just gave us a real insight into what their lives are like outside kind of app and IT and sort of gaming. And we actually pay people to take part in market research. So a lot of people are really keen to take part, and also it really helps in terms of getting that higher response rate. And then I moved to a company called Trinity McQueen, again based in Leeds, and I was there for about two and a half years. And then I decided I wanted to move to London, and they had an office in London. So then I ended up in the London office where I worked for a little bit. COVID hit, and after COVID, I moved to a different research company, and also made some little people in between and in and around that as well. And I suppose the important thing to kind of mention here is that I just so happened to stumble across this research company whilst I was on the bus. You know, it wasn't anything planned. I just thought, I'm passionate about research and it says research, so let's just go check it out. And then I ended up working for a specialist company and really sort of honed in my skills in terms of being able to work with kind of like younger people and the different techniques that you need to use and the specialist skills that you need to have. And then all of a sudden I'm living in London, and you know that kind of changed everything as well. So again, none of this was kind of planned, but I just followed my passions and really thought about what kind of things I enjoy and what kind of skills I have.